What's up, YouTube family? We are back again with another one. So I have a very short video here that I would like to react to. So without wasting your time, let's dive right in the video. Let's go.
Men are actually more easy to please than you think. If you ladies just learn to shut up, be respectful, and stop being so combative, your man would treat you like a queen because he knows that he's able to open up to you, talk to you, and you'll listen without responding so fast and opening your mouth or doing anything like that. You guys make your relationships more harder than it needs to be. Y'all complain too much. Everything bothers you. You always gotta have a conversation about something, and then he wants to stay at work and pull extra hours, not because he needs the money, because he wants to get away from you.
Well, ultimately what she is saying to you women is that you should submit to a man's leadership. Look, we live in a very sensitive era, right? Usually people can just listen to something without involving their feelings. But let me make one thing very clear. You women will never, ever, ever, ever be able to lead a man. Oop. Did anybody get in their feelings yet? No? Alright, so I guess we're gonna have a good class. You know, just checking. Because nowadays, sensitive era, people just holding on to their feelings. As soon as you say submit and leadership, they just drop them. Oh my God, you know I'm allergic to those. How dare you? How dare you say I should submit? Oh man. But yeah, let me make it very clear, extremely clear. You women must submit to your husbands. I'm not even gonna go the route, oh, the Bible says, God says. We know that's just what it is. You're probably in your feelings. Oh, you're not in your feelings? Alright, so I guess we're gonna have a great class. Look, I'm going to tell you a story, and in that I'll try to paint a picture. Hopefully, my story will serve as a reason why I believe that a woman should submit to her husband's leadership, right? I'm not really good at telling stories, but I will try. So we'll see, all right? So let's say we have a baby that was born to a family, loving family, but let's call this baby John, just for the sake of it. You know what I mean? So John was born to a loving family, caring, family, I did that best with John. And just like just like every child that grew up, right? Now John is 5 and boom, John is 10. And just like every child, they have an aspiration. Some of us wanted to be doctors, engineers, businessmen, presidents, you name it, right? But John wanted to be a doctor. That was his dream. So he tried. And then again, boom. John is 18, but then somewhere along the road, he lost himself, gave into the street, became untamable, toxic, did not listen to his parents, had it his way, but then he ended up paying the price for it, right? Made a whole bunch of mistakes, went to prison, and just like that, boom. John is 25. So he sits down, really thinks about everything. And he's like, you know what? I cannot keep living like this. And suddenly he remembers that he actually wanted to become a doctor. So he goes back to school. But given that, he's lost a lot of time, and given the circumstances that he's now facing, instead of going to school to become a doctor, he instead decided to become a nurse. And just like every human being, God always gives us a second chance. And if you know how to seize it, you will make magic come out of that chance. So here you go. 5 years later, John is a nurse. After, hard work, studying hard, just becoming a good person. And those 5 years were like a healing moment for John, right? Did his best, stood on good principles, learned love, good human values. And he's now a nurse. Just for most men, the goal is to one day find a good woman and ultimately make that woman our wives, right? Create a family and just follow God's instructions. Like I said, I'm not good with stories, but hopefully I make sense so far. Hopefully, just stay with me. So here he goes. He meets Erica. Now, let me tell you a couple of things about Erica. Erica came from a very loving family. Caring, right? The type of family where the words prince and princesses were just thrown around. I mean, he's just a girl with a pussy. Dad wasn't a king, but somehow he was a princess. But we're going to let it slide. We're going to let it slide. We're going to let it slide. It's okay. So Erica never knew toxicity. Never knew starvation. Anything like that. It's a very nurturing and good family. But now she meets this man, John, right? He went through a lot. But then now worked on himself to become a very good person and stands on good principle. And he is ready now to take this man into his world. But then before he does that, he says, look, Erica, before I take you into my world, you have to know that you would have to submit, because I have something called leadership. And I would have to teach you the language of that leadership. And Erica goes, what do you mean, leadership? Do you know that I am actually allergic to those two words? Leadership and submit? Do we see a problem here? Or we don't? Like I said, I'm not really good with telling stories, but let me tell you a different story. Hopefully this time I will paint the picture better here for you, right? All right, I'll try, I promise. Let's say you have somebody who is building something and ended up building a car. He knows how to drive it. He built that car from scratch. Wheels to the roof, everything, right? And he calls our car a Mercedes-Benz. He knows how to drive it, everything perfect. And then he meets somebody who built himself a motorcycle, right? So everything is cool. So one day, the person with the motorcycle decides to join the person with the car. The guy with the Mercedes-Benz. So the guy with the Mercedes-Benz says, look, I've never had anybody in this car. But before you get inside of this car, I would like to make one thing very clear. You will always have to remain in a passenger seat. That's why you'll always have to be. And the person with the motorcycle says, what do you mean? As far as I'm concerned, we both created something that runs on wheels, right? Your car runs on gas, so does my motorcycle. Your car has brakes, so does my motorcycle. So what do you mean I have to stay in a passenger seat? Do we see a problem here? I hope we do, because I don't have another story. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say here is, women, when you meet a man, you have to understand that you just don't meet a human being. You meet a human being with a big world behind him, right? And only he knows the details going on within that world, right? You might think that because you dated that man for 10 years, you know his world, but you don't. That is why a lot of you guys rush in and rush back out, because you realize that his world is way bigger than you knew. And it's not even an intelligent move. Think about it. You mean to tell me this man, let's say he's 30 years old, he comes with all this world behind him. And as soon as you enter, he gives you the key. Run it. I think if you're really intelligent, you're going to be like, you know what? Nah, I'm good. You run it. I don't know shit about this. You run it. Or you show me how to run it. How come I just come in and you want to have me run it? That is why you must submit to your man leadership. Because you are entering this man's world, right? So you have to give him the opportunity to give you a tour of that world. And you have to be willing to listen and follow instructions. So he will tell you, you see in my world, you see this stop sign right here? Never violate this stop sign because there are cops always standing here and they won't hesitate to give you a ticket if you run the stop sign, right? Or he will say, look, you see that street over here? Never take that street because there's a guy there, just like me, who loves freedom of speech. And if you are dressed inappropriately, he would not hesitate to call you a bitch. I'm just saying, you know. Of course, he wouldn't be talking shit for no reason, you know. If you give him a reason to talk shit, he'll talk shit. But your husband, if you want to listen and follow, he'll tell you, don't do it. And if you follow him and his instructions, guess what? You won't meet those things at all. It's going to just clear outside of your way. But unfortunately, that's not what's going on. Look, I want to get a little bit serious for a minute with my women, right? Again, sometimes by talking to one another, that's the only way we can understand one another. So let's have a conversation. Look, when we men, we say to you guys to submit to our leadership, it's not because we think it's a flex. It's not because we think we have these growing features in us, you know, that make us superior. It is not that. Unfortunately, we were born as men. We are forced into this role. Look, I really wish that it was the other way around, that I could just be sleeping in the bed under those warm sheets and somebody sneaks in the house and my wife would have to go handle it. I really wish it was the case, but guess what? That's not what she signed up for. Unfortunately, I would have to go and handle that. I agreed on that contract to take her into my world, so it's only right that I provide for her, protect her, but she has to follow the signs in that world. I don't know if it makes sense. I hope it makes sense, right? So when we say that you have to submit to our leadership, we're not trying to flex on you. We're not trying to say that you're weak, you can't do anything. Nah, you are filled with so many amazing qualities that we wish we had, but we just don't. Unfortunately, we're just not born that way. We're not built like that. But there's just certain things too. You're just not built like that. Trust me. You're not qualified to lead a man. Believe me. I know some of you call yourself boss babe. You want to be the boss of the house. All you will do is drive that world into chaos. Don't do it. I don't advise it, right? And if up until this point you're still disagreeing with me, I have two questions for you, or two more scenarios, right? Do you think that the president, Donald Trump, can just go to Saudi Arabia and run it? I mean, he's a president. He should be able to do it. But if you ask me, I'm going to tell you right away, it's impossible. Because it's a different population. It's a different... Saudi Arabia stands on different principles and standards, right? It's not just... Donald Trump cannot just go and stand on top and be like, I have this many years of experience, therefore I can run Saudi Arabia. Nah. The Saudi Arabian population has a need, right? So, as a president of the United States, that population also has a different need. Perhaps for you to be able to run Saudi Arabia, you would have to learn what that population needs first, right? Let me ask you another question. Do you think that the CEO of Google can just go over to Apple and run it? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're both CEOs, right? They have the same title. and they're all both tech companies. Why would he or she need an orientation first? Look, it's not an insult. It doesn't mean that you don't have the experience or not. Perhaps you just need more familiarization. All right? So, if you give the opportunity for your man to lead you, you'll be okay. If you don't, you will indeed have the keys. But remember, you see that stop sign that he told you that you should never violate? Well, you wouldn't know that. And guess what? The cops are indeed going to give you a ticket. And remember one more thing. You remember that street that he told you that if you were to listen, of course, that if you take that street, if you walk on that street, there's somebody with a big mouth just like me who loves freedom of speech. And if you're dressed with your ass out, guess what? He's going to be like, God damn, this is a fat ass. And there's nothing you would do about it. Yeah, I mean, yes. So please, I don't want to make this a debate nor a long conversation, to be honest with you. I think it should be clear, because some of you say it all the time. We can lead. We have these all amazing qualities and stuff like that. Men don't listen. All they gotta do is this. We can do it. We're strong and independent. Look, just because you say it does not mean that you can do it. And just because you're hearing it doesn't mean that you understand it. Because as far as I'm concerned, men have been trying for an eternity to tell you guys that they're like natural. And as far as I'm concerned, a lot of you heard us. All right, on that note, peace out.